Hi, welcome to Break Time with Brakeman. I am here today with one of our local union leaders, Karina Whitaker. Karina is on the bargaining committee. She's a table games dealer. She's on the regional women's committee, and she is a trustee of UAW Local 2121. I've known Karina for a long time. She was involved in our very first organizing efforts at Foxwoods and has been a leader ever since. And welcome. I'm really glad to have you here. Lots of people are have questions and concerns about reopening the economy in Connecticut, and there's a lot of focus on the casinos. So I guess I would start by asking you, how are you? How is your family? How are our members doing? And where are people at with the next steps in this pandemic?
So first off, thanks for having me. I personally I'm doing okay. I have been keeping myself busy. I've been sewing masks to donate to people, and that takes up a lot of time, a lot more time than I
Beautiful
expected.
masks, I might add, because I have some in the other room. They're really, really very well done. They're beautiful.
And then, so I live alone, but my biological sister lives nearby. She actually works for another UAW local out of Electric Boat, 571. And we've actually been interacting a fair bit 'cause she's been working from home. Um, and local wise, it's been an experience for us. Honestly, this is the first time since it opened that Foxwoods closed, and it's crazy to be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah,
unprecedented.
yes, yeah. What are so you guys went out in March, right? How you've all been out for over a month
Right.
now?
Foxwoods closed on the 17th.
Okay,
By 8 p.m., everyone had to be out of the building.
okay. So what are the challenges you're having now, like being home, and what are your concerns about going back to work?
Well, so the biggest challenge is that our job isn't something that we can do remotely. It is an in-person job, and it involves interacting with a lot of people from everywhere. Um, and that's in a time of a pandemic, that's incredibly scary and major. Our we want to get back to work. We want to get back to our patrons and our jobs and our coworkers, but at the same time, there's just so much that's unknown, and things keep changing every day. And so our biggest challenge as a local has been trying to keep in contact with our members because we have about 1,200 people and they live everywhere. I mean, we have members who live in New York City. We have members that come from Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and getting in touch with them has been a challenge.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, one of the things that, UAW represents dealers across the country. So you at Foxwoods have a really strong health and safety committee, and they're actually looking at all the different states and trying to come up with some sort of best safety practices for returning to work. And maybe you could talk about, some of those from our members' perspective. What are the things that absolutely have to be in place um, to even consider going back in? It's hard to imagine actually going back in, but because as we all know from our smoking ban days fight, these are not healthy places to work for dealers in the first place. So what are the things at a bare minimum you all need to see for people to feel safe? And that's people who are healthy to feel safe. Yeah.
Um, so the really big thing is ways for us to keep things sanitary, both with sanitizing stations for our hands, not just for us, for the customers. A ready supply of various PPE for everybody, not just us. We need sanitation procedures in place for things that we've never really addressed before. I mean, the handling of chips, the handling of cards, um, and just what the members really want is to feel safe when they go in.
Hmm.
No smoking at the tables,
Right.
so because or vaping for that matter, just because there's just so much, concern about the aerosol, and so I think those are the biggest things.
Yeah, that's really that's a big one. So so how are, what are some of the other issues? Are you talking to dealers around the country? I assume the dealer networks are all talking to each other, and I think most casinos around the country are looking at opening in the next month or so, right?
Yeah, and some have already opened.
Mhm.
A lot of people have been watching the ones that have been opened. Idaho, which they only have slot machines. Oklahoma recently opened. We've been watching them, uh,
Mhm.
but it's a trip
Yeah,
uh, to see what's been going on with the other casinos.
right. So, and I know that, some they're obviously the casinos, when they do open, are going to be, it's going to be a slow opening. So we will still have members not working. And how is that? What are the dynamics on the ground for people who are not working in terms of continued health care and other issues?
So we are helping our members apply for state health care because it's a horrible thing to lose your health care in the middle of a pandemic, especially those with pre-existing conditions. Um, so those that are in danger of not going back for the phase one, as they like to call it, we've been trying to help them set up state health care through their different states, since we have members from all of the surrounding states.
The other thing that I was thinking about is the customers themselves, and so many of them come from, states surround, particularly New York, frankly, which is a much more of an epicenter than Connecticut. So that's got to be on people's minds as well.
Yeah. Um, they say that there's not going to be buses coming in from other states, but that's not going to stop people from driving on their own. So a lot of people are very concerned about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So lots to really think about. And I think one of the things that I've always find so impressive about your local and the leaders in your local is you take such a proactive position on, um, making the workplace safe and healthy, and also a real commitment to the success of Foxwoods as an employer. So, so in that vein, tell me a little bit about where members are at. I think from what I understand, some of the struggle people are having is, well, I really want to go back to work, or maybe I'm scared to go back to work, but I want to make sure the employer is around a year from now. Is that something that members are concerned about?
Definitely. I mean, since the announcement that they were opening on the first, all we've had is members calling us, messaging us with worry about wanting to keep their positions, keep their seniority, keep their status, but due to pre-existing health conditions or just anxiety and fear, worried.
Right.
We're doing our best to address that in the ways that we can, and also, we're fortunate that unemployment has been very proactive for things like that, which
Yeah.
has been a help. Because
Right.
the last thing we want is our most senior employees are people who've worked there for over 25 years. And so a lot of them are in the high risk category. We have many employees who are over the age of 65. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I know you do. Um, so So Karina, just sort of stepping back a little bit, for people who might be watching this that don't really, what is tell us about the life in the day of a table games dealer. You get a lot of, having lobbied around gaming and casino issues for a long time with you and with other leaders. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about the work you do, and frankly, I think a lot of uh, what would be the word, like kind of unfair characterizations of the work you do as not important. So tell me what a day in your life is like as a table games dealer, and the pride you have about that.
I specifically I work the night shift, so I generally work 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., which in and of itself is a whole different lifestyle. I
Yeah.
also work weekends. I've always worked weekends. And So, I mean, I get to work anywhere from an hour to half an hour before I work. I swipe in just like everybody else does. You clock in. I go to the area that I'm assigned to, and then I find out what I'm assigned to do.
Hmm.
So I have a multitude of games, and I don't know what it is I'm going to be dealing until I get there.
Hmm.
So I'll sign in, and then I'll go to the game. And from there, I mean, it's probably one of the biggest misrepresentations is that dealing is anybody can do it because oh, I know how to play blackjack. I can be a dealer. It's a skilled job. We go to school for this. I mean, I think I put more hours in at our gaming school than I did in college altogether. um, but so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's math, it's entertainment, it's, I mean, just it's being a bank almost because you're dealing with cash, you're dealing with chips, you're dealing with money, and sometimes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, while doing things accurately, while maintaining game security, while keeping the people on your table entertained with a variety of different personalities in front of you.
Yeah.
So, and so we work in table games, we work 1 hour on the table, and then we take a 20-minute break, and then we come back and rinse, lather, repeat for 8 hours until we go home.
Yep. Yeah. It's interesting. It's, I feel particularly connected to your local because my first work at UAW was actually as a temporary organizer on working on the political and community sort of stuff, and it was an amazing campaign. So I really have, and then we worked on the smoking ban together, which we're not giving up on, right? Maybe
Nope.
there's an opportunity here on that one. Um, but anyway, any last things you want to say, Karina, before we get off? What's your favorite game to deal?
Oh, goodness. I just love variety. So as long as I'm doing something different every day or so, I'm happy. I really enjoy dealing craps and working with a crew of my coworkers, but I also really like roulette where I kind of get to do things at my own pace.
Hmm.
So, and the novelties are kind of fun too. They're just a night off where you really are just having fun with people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't have a specific.
yeah. No, I think, and to your point, I think that's what I was trying to say is, when we've had all these different hearings around the building of new casinos or the smoking ban or whatever, there's sort of this like, feeling, oh, it's just like a whatever, an entertainment job, but these are highly skilled jobs. I couldn't do what you guys do. I mean, we had at one of our staff retreats, Andrea, your former president, now staff person, was showing us how to all do blackjack, and I was like, you know, I couldn't even begin to sort of keep that straight. So I think that's an important thing for people to keep in mind. These are good, skilled jobs, and they're important for this state to maintain them,
Right,
and to be able to have a union to fight some of these fights, especially on the health and safety front. I know is something you guys do very, very.
right. And we've been very fortunate. Our health and safety committee is so committed.
I know.
And our servicing rep, as you said, Andrea, she was actually part of our local before she moved up into the region. And we've just been so grateful that we have her because she understands where we're coming from.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And actually having, because Andrea's now been able to is on staff, the work of your health and safety committee is now helping to advise other UAW locals throughout the country, actually, because every state has a different reopening plan,
right.
so anyway, so I want to thank you so much for getting on today and taking your time and for making the masks. They really are amazing. And I'm with you. We'll be, sort of in this fight for the long haul. Okay.
Thanks again. You take care.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.